National Assembly on Tuesday approved the electronic transmission of election results, but retained manual collation as a backup, triggering protests, a walkout by opposition lawmakers, and heated debates in both chambers ahead of the 2027 general elections. What should have ordinarily been a routine legislative correction to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill instead degenerated into one of the most dramatic sittings of the 10th Assembly, exposing deep partisan fault lines ahead of the 2027 general elections. In the Senate, 15 lawmakers led by Senator Naya Baribe, ADC Abia South, stood defiantly against a controversial proviso in Clause 60 Sub 3 that recognizes the manually completed form EC8A as the primary source of collation where electronic transmission fails. In the House of Representatives, where the major drama took place yesterday, the minority caucus staged a walkout accusing the Speaker of railroading amendments and frustrating attempts to insist on mandatory real-time electronic transmissions without caveats. Let's watch what transpired at the House of Reps yesterday.
59. Clause 60. Clause 61. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order. Point of 62. Point of order. Clause 63. Point of order. Point of order. Clause 64. Point of order. Chairman, no. Clause 65. Clause 66. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Clause 67. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Clause 68. Is it going on? No. Clause 69. Clause 70. Clause 71. No, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. No. Clause 73. Clause 74. Clause 75. Okay. What do you want to amend? Okay, sit and amend. Go and amend. Sit down. Go and amend it. Yes. I'll call your name to amend.
Okay, did you enjoy the drama? Well, that isn't all. Outside the complex of the National Assembly, protesters joined by former Minister of Education Obi Ezekwesili accused lawmakers of attempting to dilute electoral safeguards. According to a report and video seen online, the police used tear gas on protesters yesterday. The likes of Showore was also present, and the demand was clear that there is a deliberate act by the Senate, by the National Assembly, to sabotage and to remove or rig the 2027 election. Let's watch the protest.
Our network has 97-98% coverage. If we have 98%, that is excellent in any school. There's a people parliament here that have unanimously endorsed the House of Representatives version of the proposed 2026 Electoral Amendment Bill.
The only reason they don't want transparency through the mandatory provision for there to be instant, real-time, electronic transmission of the results from the EC8A to the IREV is because they want to continue to capture our democracy for the pillaging of the Nigerian state.
Why should it be in my own country that the citizens cannot go inside the chamber to discuss with the members of the National Assembly?
We still have a lot of bad people to deal with. And as we are making these demands, we must also be demanding for the termination of the era of impunity and the terrible politicians that be holding us to ransom.
Police that their salary and pension after 35 years is not up to even getting a one-room self-contained. Nigerians are here protesting on their behalf. They are throwing tear gas and arresting peaceful protesters. We will not stop.
I understand that this is the National Assembly and that there is a need to maintain order, but the police and law enforcement people must learn how to relate with people, even when there's seeming violence.
We are coming back again. Disruption is not the end of a thing. It's just disrupted. We are going to reorganize, not for anything evil, but to come back and make our demand.
All right, so with this brief introduction, I believe we are able to get a summary of what transpired yesterday, both in the green and red chamber, as well as outside the assembly complex. So, gentlemen, or gentleman and lady, let's get into the conversation. As it stands right now, yes, there is apparent division, right? Especially at the House of Reps. And outside, it was clear yesterday that to the protesters that the lawmakers are not ready to yield to their demands because they believe they are the ones casting the votes. Therefore, their voices should be heard. I'll start with you, Samson. You started with me yesterday.
Now, sure thing.
Okay.
Those protesters are very, very validated if they feel the way they feel, by the way. Okay, because surely they are the ones who will go to vote. Okay, they're the ones who will go to vote. So now they are very much at liberty to decide how they want to cast their vote. Now, regardless of the fact that we have these people representing us in the green and red chambers, okay, it doesn't mean they, of course, they stand to represent us there. But whatever they do, it has to be informed by what the masses want, okay? But what we see, or rather what we have seen as of yesterday, did not show representatives who are being informed by what the masses generally want at all. How do you explain Benjamin Kalu's action yesterday, wanting to push forward grouped clauses when you're supposed to consider each one clause by clause? His action yesterday was one that showed that he was that he did not even create the avenue for debates on each of these clauses to happen.
But they had already sat on it.
But
They had already talked about it, right? That would be his defense.
that would be his defense. Eventually, of course, that
But
would be his defense.
It's not left on his total decision. If not, why call the whole representatives? If it's because we have sat on it before, we need to approve it just like the way he was doing. There's no need sitting.
Because if it were not so, then those House of Reps members, yes, they would not have been screaming at the tops of their voices, asking for a clause-by-clause consideration, which means there was very much room for those clauses to still be deliberated on, considered, even if they had been. Obviously, it showed that the work wasn't completely done.
But you know, what is actually wrong with a manual collation formula? Because the Senate believes that there could be, you know, a technical glitch, assuming it's just one, or glitches, assuming it's more than one. You know, it's laughable because that is a projection. But I also think that it's within their powers to, create sufficient measures so that there are no obstruction, right, to the 2027 election. Now, imagine if there are no, or there is no alternative, right? It's real time. What if real time fails?
The good thing is there are alternatives, and whatever that has front has back. What stops them, our national lawmakers, from projecting success?
Okay.
Right? It's a possibility that there may be a glitch or glitches, but what happened to being optimistic that for once in this nation we are going to have the people's voice done?
But permit me to interject. Now,
Okay.
I believe that in elections, like we've experienced personally, that every political party have their offices there. The APC have an officer there or offices there, same as the PDP, same as the, let's assume, ADC, and, other political parties that will, be represented in the 2027 election. They are going to have the political office. And I think one of the things the ECA form, 8A form will do is that by the time everyone in that polling unit finish casting their votes, right, everyone will take a picture of it. I think there's no problem having a manual collation. The problem Nigerians have is that successive elections in Nigeria have proven to be corrupt. So they can't bank on manual collation. They believe that something, somehow, somewhere, by someone will happen negatively to the results. So they don't want to take chances.
And that means, that gives credence to the manual collation taken out of the picture. Now, we cannot expect, I'm saying it should be taken out of the picture in its entirety. There is no way that e-transmission is going to fail nationwide. There is no way e-transmission is going to fail by 80%. Okay? Which means e-transmission has a high tendency of being very, very successful with few instances where it failed. Which means if INEC could successfully carry out e-transmission in election in a very large percentage of, say, 75, of which I doubt 80 to 85%, could successfully utilize its logistics to make that election be 80 to 85% successful, then it means INEC can still reschedule elections.
We can't say reschedule. Come on, money is spent actually.
Praise.
Of
Even
course.
when our only resort was manual collation, elections were rescheduled.
Elections were rescheduled with instances when polling units were.
Money being spent. Do not forget that we have new budget from the INEC. I think all these things are part of why they increased their budget, right? So the unforeseen circumstances,
Correct.
right? So that come out from the money being spent. Obviously, Nigerians are still, agitating about the figure that they dropped, close to ₦1 trillion already. But then, you make plans for emergencies, for contingencies. You make plans for them. Back to what you were talking about, this manual collation and the whatever that might come up from it. I want us to step back to the very last election that we had in 2023, where you see openly people, thugs, interrupting, even hurting people who came out to display their right as Nigerians to vote. People were hurt. People were... Now, imagine...
Remember the woman in Lagos?
Do you understand? Somebody who didn't do anything, both of you do not know yourselves. She just came out to exercise her right as Nigerian, and she got hurt. Imagine if it was worse. So, we are in a country where I think people who want to get into power, who are seeking to be voted in, are not even trusting themselves. Because if you trust yourself, why would e-transmission be an issue for you? Why do you keep on going back to manual collation? Why do you want to do that? Because for me, the whole drama happening in NAS is just, some persons are afraid.
Really?
That's what I perceive.
Okay.
Some people are afraid, but they may not come forward to come and say this is our fear. Because in what is getting them scared lies the answer to why we are going back and forth this e-transmission and manual collation.
But I don't think it's about fear. I don't know, maybe the way I'm saying it's quite odd, but I don't think it's about fear. I think it is the responsibility of lawmakers in any country to create a robust, electoral system. I mean, create room so that the commission, INEC, can work. They said e-transmission will be there, but not in real time. Okay. And they gave reasons, right? Some even said, went as far as saying, we are not yet ready. The likes of Sarah K. Dixon, saying, we are not yet ready for real-time transmission of results, which to them is understandable. But I also understand the part of Nigerians that they don't want to think real-time election is not possible. But I also think that maybe they could just give room for that real-time transmission.
Okay, let me allow you to ask that question, because I don't know if it's the same thing with what I want to ask.
But why do we see opposition to the e-transmission of results coming from a particular party?
Group of persons.
I don't think it's about a particular party, actually, even though it seems as if the APC is the majority at the moment. But I don't think it's about political party.
How many of them in the Senate? What, 15? Who stood up yesterday?
Yeah, in the Senate. And they said, let it be, you rep yourself.
Do you know what? These, literally, Nigerians wouldn't have problem with manual collation. But the display of these people who are supposed to pass, or they have already passed it, their display is what is being questionable. And that was why I said some persons might be afraid. Not afraid that somebody is going to do anything, but afraid. I don't know if you remember yesterday. Was it yesterday that we had on the national dailies, that day before yesterday, that a lot of lawmakers are not coming back in 2027. You can take that from the person as a prediction. But people are reading meanings. They are, connecting the dots. Why is this raising dust? I'll link that, the display, to tear gassing the citizens who are protesting. What are they protesting? They are saying this is what we want. In 21st century, in 2026, the network or glitches or whatsoever is not going, like Samson said, is not going to be a total failure. What is stopping our lawmakers from giving a try? Like, you see this election, let us carry out what people are saying. Let us even, so that, there's this Igbo adage that says when you blow somebody, you open your hand so that they will know that you're not having a stone, right? Because maybe the hotness of the blow, they will think you're having something. So, I mean, they have totally forgotten that whether you are a representative, a member, or a senator, whatever you are, people voted you.
And you to represent them.
To represent them, yeah.
Representation.
Well, that's actually very, very valid for me, because I don't know why there's a lot of skepticism about this thing. It's saying that, oh, something is fishy. But let's leave their drama for a moment. Let's talk about tear gassing the people. I mean, this issue of throwing tear gas at people protesting is becoming unbecoming, actually. We saw that with the Makoko protesters, and now, I mean, to the extent that some women were even trapped in a bus. What do you make of that?
Even protesting, even the saga between El Rufai and Ribadu, supporters of El Rufai went to protest at EFCC headquarters. They got tear gas to the extent that tear gas even got blown into a hospital nearby. Do you understand the indiscriminate use of tear gas? And it's so shocking when you think about the actions of these police people who they're
acting on instruction.
They're acting on instructions, but then how about it's well, their hands are tied. I would just even say
That's the truth, because they're acting on instruction.
And the election, the voting is one means of untying those hands that are always tied. And that is what Nigerians are fighting for.
Well, I don't know, but I feel there can't be an alternative. There should be an alternative to fighting this thing. Because over the years, we've seen protests. We've seen people come out to protest. But we've not seen results. We've not seen the result of protesting. It has really not been effective. Instead, we see people getting hurt. We see people being shot at. I mean, we can't forget NSAS in a moment. 2020 was quite horrific for us, especially for the young population in Nigeria. So I think there should be an alternative means to, registering your displeasure about anything. Because, sorry to say, but it's the truth. The group of leaders we have right now in Nigeria, they are so strong-headed that, honestly, I mean, based on antecedents, they don't listen. And that's the truth. You're not going to get any results coming out to protest. Instead, you get yourself tear-gassed on. And as far as this Electoral Act is concerned, or bill, whatever, even though it's not, well, it has passed third reading. Now, I am worried for the Nigerian people. Yeah. I am worried for the future of 2027, because now the election timetable is out. The election timetable is out. And I don't know if Nigerians will come out to vote. That is the greatest fear. But then, while we have that as a fear, before we move on to what's trending this morning, some of the senators and the Senate yesterday who actually voted for real-time transmission of results, about 15 of them, when that move was made by Senator Eyinaya Baribe, is number one on the list. Abdunengi of PDP Bauchi Central, Aminu Tambawa of PDP Sokoto South. We have Eriti Kingibe of ADC FCT, and then Seraki Dixon, okay. Onawo Ogwoshi of ADC Nasarawa South, Tony Nwunye of Labour Party Anambra North, Victor Ume of ABGA Anambra Central, Ibrahim Dan Kwambo PDP Gombe Central, Austin Akumbo Bondu of PDP Abia Central, Khalid Mustafa of PDP Kaduna North, Sikayo Yaro of PDP Gombe South, Emmanuel Wachukwu Anambra South ABGA, and then we have Peter G of PDP Niger South, and Natasha Botuduaga of PDP Kogi Central. These are the senators who actually voted for real-time transmission, and of course, judging from the reactions seen online, Nigerians are actually celebrating them as the real, lawmakers that want.
Now, didn't you notice a trend there? None of them was APC.
Actually.
Now, this gives credence to Nigerians' worry and suspicion. Okay, that something is fishy here. And this rather gives a lot more fuel to Nigeria's demands that this e-transmission of election results must come without that caveat. And I'm also behind that call too.
Oh, I could see that visibly in your face.
Yes.
Even you too.
Like a yes.
All right, no problem.